What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today it's time to fry some rectums.
90's style.
Because today we are checking out the all-new Mesa Boogie 90's Dual Rectifier. Let's do it. Alright guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this, there it is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle, and welcome to Belligerent Studios. What I do here is I take all sorts of awesome high gain related guitar equipment, I record it with a simple setup, and I give you the unprocessed audio on your end. So if you're into Easthander thrash riffs, drop C hardcore riffs, and dudes that needed a new pair of glasses 3 years ago, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button and subscribing on your way out so you don't miss any more of my stuff. Thanks! Alright guys, so today is the day that many of us have been waiting for. The Mesa Boogie 90's Dual Rectifier is upon us. Well, it's beside me, it's not upon me. And with all the fanfare regarding the Mark II C Plus being put back into production by Mesa, I kind of almost feel like the rectifier kind of got sidelined a little bit. I haven't heard as many people talking about this, or I haven't heard as much buzz around this. And that does make sense because the Mark II C Plus, you couldn't get that amplifier in any way, shape, or form in a modern production model for a long time. But when it has come to the Mesa Boogie lineup, I have always kind of gravitated more towards the rectifier than I have the Mark series stuff. And that's just because being somebody who has been in the hardcore scene for the last 22 years, oh my God, I'm getting so old. This amp has been a staple in pretty much every recording that I have grown up and loved. These things are thick, they are full, they are aggressive at the same time. They have a bad reputation for being a scooped amplifier. I can honestly tell you, that's not the case at all. These things have mids for days. Like, they just do everything a good high gain amplifier should do. And once I kind of got my head around how to dial these in and how to shape the tone going into the amplifier in order to get what I personally wanted out of it, it quite literally became one of my favorite amplifiers. So with all that being said, let's talk about what this is before we get into the tones. This is essentially supposed to be a greatest hits of the Dual Rectifier. At least that is how it was described to me. It's somewhere in between a Rev F and a Rev G. If you guys are unfamiliar, there are a bunch of early revisions of the rectifier, and some of them actually made it to market and have been floating around for the last 30 years. And there is a pretty noticeable difference, especially on the really early revisions, like the Rev D is noticeably different sounding than the Rev E and the Rev F, which are just a little bit different sounding than the Rev G, which is the modern production model. That's the 2-channel model that you're going to see a whole bunch of on the used market. The Rev F had a really poopy clean channel and didn't have the greatest effects loop. Both of those things have been updated on this 90's Dual Rectifier. Now, of course, I'm not gonna touch on the clean channel because I'm not some weak-minded idiot who plays loser music. So we are going to stick to the orange and the red channels on this amplifier, but just know the clean channel has been improved. There have also been some changes to the transformer transformers in this amplifier to get them a little bit closer to the spec of the RevF amplifier from what I have been told. Of course, they can't make a one-for-one recreation of those transformers anymore because there are certain manufacturing laws and standards that basically don't allow for that anymore. It's technically illegal to do it. But from what I have been told, Mesa did everything that they could to get this baby as close as they can. And I can honestly tell you, sitting here in my studio, having my hands on it for about a half an hour before I actually sat down to film this video, there is some magic in this amplifier. And of course, at some time in the near future, I will absolutely compare this with the Rev E rectifier that I have on hand and my Rev G, as well as my Dual Rectifier multi-watt. I have a whole bunch that we can kind of compare this baby to, so you guys can see if it's something that you are interested in on your end. But those are the primary differences, and I want to jump into some tones, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. One thing I do want to let you know, though, is this is a sponsored video. I want to be 100% transparent with you guys. Mesa Boogie have sent me this amplifier to make this video and share it with you guys here on the channel, and my friends over at Sweetwater are sponsoring this video, which honestly makes me happy because they're the best in the business. And if you are gonna pick up this amplifier, if you're gonna pick up the new Mark II C Plus amplifier, any Mesa Boogie amplifier, or any new piece of gear that you're looking for, I can't recommend Sweetwater enough because they are amazing at what they do. But you guys are free to take everything that I have to say with a grain of salt. Knowing that this is a sponsored video, you're more than fair to do so. But I'm gonna give you my honest thoughts and opinions as I always do, so keep that in mind. So with that being said, let's jump into some tones. Enough with this corporate. For that intro clip, I was using my trusty Balaguer Typhon with a Seymour Duncan distortion in the bridge. We were going through my 1999 Mesa traditional 4x12 cab with the stock vintage 30s, SM57 on the V30. No post-processing on any of the sounds that you guys are gonna hear today. Now that initial track, that initial sound sample, I was boosting the rectifier with a Boss SD1 because that is honestly of the standard boost. That is my favorite one to boost the rectifier because it really tightens up the low end and it adds a nice top end aggression and kind of fills in some of the missing frequencies in my opinion on the rectifier. So let's go ahead. We were on the red channel, the modern setting. Let's revisit that tone real quick. Dude, this thing sounds awesome. I love rectifiers, so obviously I'm gonna be a fan, but still, the palm mutes on this thing, there's something special about the way the low end reacts on this. There is no softness the way that I have it dialed in at all. It just sounds really good, really punchy. I know a lot of you guys are gonna cry and moan that I played a track with a pedal on, so I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna kick the pedal off. Here's what it sounds like without the overdrive. Big, thick, low end, but it is still punchy. It's got a nice percussiveness to it. Honestly, man, the low end on this thing is just something else. I'm really, really digging it. Let's go ahead, let's dial it in a little bit more for not having a boost. Let's get a little less bass. Let's dial up the gain just a tad. Get a little bit more treble. That's with no overdrive in front, guys. Normally on a rectifier, especially an old Rev G rectifier, having the gain that high, it is like impossible to get the low end tightened up. So something cool is going on with this amplifier that is kind of tightening up the low end a little bit more than the rectifiers that we're kind of all used to. I'm a huge fan of how this sounds. Let me play one riff unboosted and then we'll check out the orange channel. I've also got a bunch of different guitars with a bunch of different pickups so you guys can hear how it reacts to PAFs, how it reacts to active pickups. I've also got a drop C guitar and a baritone guitar so we can get down and dirty. love my job. All right, that sounds amazing. Let's go ahead. Let's flop it on over to the orange channel here. I actually haven't even tried the orange channel on this yet, so I'm really curious to see what we get out of it. I'm gonna dial in a quick tone. Alright guys, so very similar story on the orange channel. It sounds like the Dual Rectifier of old, but there's a little bit more clarity, especially in the top end once we're pushing the gain, and the low end just seems to stay intact a little bit better. It is big, it is round, it is still that wall of sound thing, but it just seems to be a little bit tighter, a little bit more together. So let's go ahead, let's dial in that SD1 tone, boosting it a little bit and see if we can't tighten it up. This is so good, man. I'm an amp psycho. All right, this is sounding good. I am having a lot of fun. I'm gonna grab a guitar with a PAF style pickup. Let's see if we can't get kind of like a crunchy tone out of this. Not a lot of people are trying to get that out of rectifiers, but I'm gonna. All right, guys, so I have my Epiphone Brendan Small Thunder Horse with the Gibson Burstbucker in the bridge. We have no overdrive on in front of the orange channel. I'm gonna start with the volume rolled back a little bit, and then I'm gonna roll it up so you guys can see how it sounds crunchy and how it sounds or reacts to having the volume rolled up and down. So as you can see, it does react to the volume being rolled down, but not insanely so. Like, it doesn't, you know, it's not a night and day difference. So if you're trying to get a bunch of dynamics out of just using your guitar and your volume control, rectifiers aren't really known for that anyway, so it's not a surprise. It does sound good crunchy though, I'll give it that. So let's go for a little bit more of a scooped, higher gain tone on the orange channel with these PAFs. I was holding my pick like this. All right, guys, so I gotta say, pretty impressive going straight in with the PAF pickups, kind of going for a little bit more old school tones. I rolled the mids back and it responded nicely. There's still some nice top end shimmer that the rectifiers are known for. They are known for that bright sizzliness, for better or for worse. Some people love it, some people hate it. I personally am all about it, probably just because I've destroyed my ears after 20 years of playing in hardcore bands. But with all that said, now we're gonna go back over to the red channel and we're gonna see how the red channel reacts to a couple of active pickups. So let's do it. Okay guys, so that was 4 different active high output pickups going directly into the red channel of this amplifier. No boosts or anything, no effects in front of it. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of how the amplifier reacts. I can say that there was a very noticeable difference in sound and feel between all 4 of those pickups. And just as I have always said about the rectifier, it's all about fine-tuning the signal going into the front of the amp, because the amp does react very drastically to different EQ pedals, different boost pedals, different pickups. So if you plug into a rectifier for the first time and you don't get the sound that you want out of it, just keep that in mind. Experimenting with different pickups and different overdrives may actually end up bringing you a lot closer to the sound in your head, which for me is tinnitus. Let's check out Drop C before the rest of my hearing goes to shit. Alright guys, so going straight into the red channel on this amplifier, there are things I'm liking and things I'm not liking. The low end, going this low definitely needs to be tightened up, even though the amp overall has more tightness than I'm used to from a rectifier. It is still pretty loose, it is still pretty round sounding. The low mids are still a little too high for my personal taste, but with that being said, there is an aggression and there's a clarity in this amplifier when you have the gain this high and you have it dialed in for lower tones that I don't know, man, it totally does sound like it's been improved to my ears, because I'm so used to the rectifier being a muddy mess when you tune down and don't put any sort of boost in front of it. I dig it, and I already know that it's gonna sound amazing with a boost in front, but let's dial it in. I'm gonna kick in a Lichtlerm King in Yellow. Dude, the mid push, especially in the upper mids on this amplifier, with a boost kicked in the drop C tuning that I was just doing, there's more clarity in this thing than I've ever heard in a rectifier. Shut up! Seriously, there's a whole different level of clarity to this amplifier than I'm used to with dual rectifiers. I don't know what they did there. I've played a Rev F and a Rev E pretty intensively before. This is not the word that I meant at all, but you guys understand what I'm trying to say. And I don't ever remember a stock rectifier sounding this clear, this articulate. This amp sounds amazing. This is blowing my mind right now. I'm having a lot of fun. I can't wait to compare this to a couple of other rectifiers in my collection. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. But last, we are gonna check this thing out with a baritone guitar and see how it gets really down and dirty. Alright guys, I have my Balaguer Espada Baritone Select here. We are in drop B on this guitar, and we are still on the red channel on the rectifier. I've got the bass almost completely off, but you'll hear why in a second. There's still plenty of low end to go around. No boost, no overdrive in front of this thing. It sounds sick. Again, the aggression, the top end clarity, that upper mid grind that is in this thing, love it. And even with the low end dial down like that, it's still fat, it's still thick, but you can kind of get it under control and it doesn't sound anemic. Like dude, this thing works really, really well for low tunings with the right guitar, with the right pickups. But I'm gonna kick in that Lichlarium King in yellow again, and I have a feeling it's just gonna take this to another dimension. This thing sounds awesome. That is gonna do it for me today, guys, on the all-new Mesa Boogie 90s Dual Rectifier. What did you guys think about this amplifier? Obviously, you've been hearing my thoughts throughout this entire video, but I wanna hear from you guys. Which guitar, which pickup, which channel, which tuning did you like the best? If you're listening to it on the other side of the camera and you are a rectifier fan, or you're a fan of the tones of rectifiers, let me know how you think this thing stacks up against what you're used to hearing. Let me know if you heard the same things that I did, or if I am losing my mind. I really am curious. I cannot wait to compare this thing with a couple of other rectifiers to see how it stacks up, because just sitting right here next to it, it really does seem like it's got something special going on. This video was a lot of fun for me. If you guys do think that this amplifier is something that you want to pick up, or any other Mesa Boogie gear, any other new gear at all, again, please go down in the description, in the comments, hit that Sweetwater affiliate link, get it from the fine folks at Sweetwater. They're gonna take care of you. And huge shout to them again for sponsoring this video. Huge shout to Mesa Boogie for sending the amplifier out in order for me to make these videos for you guys. This happened because of you guys. This happened because you guys requested it from me and from the channel. They listened, so huge thanks to you guys for making this possible. I'm gonna get out of here. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, subscribe so you don't miss any of the cool stuff that I just talked about that we're gonna do here soon. Thanks so much for watching. Kyle here again. We'll see you next time! You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.